Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join me as we explore Southwest's lost historical characters, stunning desert vistas, forgotten Native American history, or tales of lost gold mines. There's always something new to discover. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Sit back and enjoy. In the annals of American prospecting history, few tales capture the essence of boom and bust fever quite like the Amargosa oil rush of 1918. It's a story of hope, excitement, and ultimately, a lesson in how the smallest spark can ignite the wildest of dreams in the American West. Today, we're going to transport you back to a time when the desolate Amargosa Desert became the center of one of the biggest bonanza false alarms in mining history. The year is 1917, and the Amargosa Desert stretches vast and empty across the Nevada-California border. This isn't your typical desert landscape. It's a place where mesquite trees dot the terrain, where the Amargosa River carved its path through the earth, and where only the hardiest souls ventured to seek their fortunes. Our story begins with a small prospecting camp, one of the few signs of human presence in this desolate expanse. Three men, a prospector and two well diggers, had set up their temporary home along the widened bed of the Amargosa River, right where it makes its westward turn toward Ash Meadows. Their tent sat halfway between two lonely outposts, Amargosa Station, Nevada, and Death Valley Junction, California. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest adventure. If you would like to support my time and channel, hit the super thanks heart icon on the bottom of the video and contribute. This is very helpful. Relax and enjoy. For these men, isolation was a daily reality. Their only human contact came from occasional interactions with railroad personnel at Amargosa Station or during rare trips down to Las Vegas. From their camp, they could see a 5-mile stretch of highway to the north, but day after day, it remained empty. The silence was profound, broken only by the whisper of desert winds and the occasional passing train. But everything changed in January 1918, and it all started with two miners taking a walk. Their names were Haddon, known to everyone as Happy, and Jack Millet. They were working as leasers at the Johnnie Mine, where Charles H. Laba operated a 5-stamp mill. On a blustery winter day, these two men decided to take what seemed like an innocent stroll down the tailings canyon of the Johnnie Mine. As they walked across a flat stretch of desert, something caught their eye, a peculiar piece of dark material mixed in with the sandy tailings. This moment, this simple discovery, would trigger an extraordinary chain of events. One of them suggested it might be leftover blacktop from an old road. The other, however, had a more exciting theory. "Blacktop my eye," he declared. "That's oil float." Now, finding what appeared to be oil in this particular region wasn't as far-fetched as it might seem. The geology of the area supposedly resembled that of other successful oil fields. But Happy and Jack knew they needed help to properly stake their claim. They turned to Charles Lab, a respected figure in the area who had the necessary maps and knew the terrain intimately. Laba had found many of the survey corners while making his mineral locations, and his experience in the region was unmatched. But here's where our story takes its first dramatic turn. Despite their attempts at secrecy, word of the discovery leaked out, and when it did, it spread like wildfire across the mining communities of the American West. The transformation was astonishing. One night in January, our prospector witness at the riverside camp noticed something unusual, a steady stream of headlights moving south along the highway. At first, they thought it might be a convention in Las Vegas sending people home. But when they awoke the next morning, the stream of vehicles hadn't stopped. Dust spirals marked their path as they passed Amargosa station and turned off onto a logging road, heading into the raw desert south of the Johnnie Mine. The station agent at Amargosa, known as Tom, could barely contain his excitement as he shared the news. "We've had an oil strike." He explained that someone had found asphaltum chunks on the surface in a draw coming down from the Johnnie. The discovery had been kept secret for over a week, but now the rush was on. The usually silent Amargosa desert transformed overnight into a scene of chaos and excitement. Cars pushed their way along the logging road that had been carved through the mesquite, creating impromptu camps wherever they could find space. The air filled with the sounds of people talking, arguing, and dreaming of riches. No one seemed to know exactly what they were doing, but everyone was certain that fortune lay within their grasp. The rush brought in people from all directions, but particularly from the northern mining towns of Goldfield and Tonopah. These weren't just random prospectors. These were experienced miners who knew the territory and understood the value of a good claim. One day, 14 friends from Goldfield arrived to seek Labe's expertise. They wanted assurance that this was the real deal. Labe recounted their visit. The geology was gone over, and it sounded as good or better than that of other oil fields which had become good producers. When they tested a piece of the supposed bitumen in fire, it burned with a smoky flame and filled the room with what seemed to be the unmistakable smell of crude oil. 14 pairs of heavy boots beat approval on the floor, rattling the rafters, Labe remembered. The men were elated. But as with many dreams in the American West, this one was built on shifting sands. The truth began to emerge when these experienced prospectors decided to conduct a more thorough investigation. They split into two groups, one starting from the bottom of the tailings and working their way up, while the other descended from the top. When they met in the middle, the evidence was undeniable, but not in the way they'd hoped. The mystery was finally solved with a visit to the Johnnie Mine itself. The truth, as it often does, lay in the mundane details of industrial history. Back in 1906, the mine had installed Fairbanks Morse engines and crude oil generators for their mill operations. These machines produced volatile gas from crude oil to power the engines, leaving behind a sludge residue that was dumped down the tailings canyon along with other debris. This waste material had cooled and hardened into cake-like formations over the years. Adding to this, fuel tanks positioned on the edge of the canyon had leaked and spilled, their contents washing down with the rain. The combination of industrial waste and leaked fuel had created what appeared to be oil deposits and pools, a perfect recipe for false hope. The news of the bust spread quickly through the camps. As Tom, the station agent, glumly reported, "They have passed the official word that there's no more oil in the ground over at the Johnnie strike than there is in my wife's kitchen lamp." The excitement that had filled the desert air just days before deflated like a punctured balloon. Yet even after the truth was known, the story wasn't quite over. For several weeks, new arrivals continued to appear, drawn by the lingering echoes of the original excitement. They would arrive full of hope, only to leave shortly after learning the reality of the situation. The better-natured among them managed to laugh at what had become known as the innocent hoax of the Amargosa oil rush. What makes this story particularly fascinating is its reflection of human nature. The original discoverers, Happy Haddon and Jack Millett, weren't con men or swindlers. They genuinely believed they had found something valuable. Even Charles Labe, with all his experience, was initially convinced by the evidence before him. The excitement that swept through the desert wasn't built on deception, but on hope and possibility. The Amargosa oil rush of 1918 stands as a perfect encapsulation of the boom and bust cycle that characterized so much of Western American history. In the span of just a few weeks, a desolate stretch of desert was transformed into a bustling community of hopeful prospectors, only to return once again to its natural state of sublime isolation. Think about it. In those few brief weeks, the Amargosa Desert witnessed a microcosm of the American dream. The rush brought together people from all walks of life, united in their hope of striking it rich. It showed how quickly news could spread, even in an era before instant communication, and how rapidly people would mobilize when opportunity seemed to knock. The legacy of the Amargosa oil rush isn't found in barrels of oil or fortunes made. Instead, it lives on as a reminder of the eternal optimism of the prospector's spirit, that unwavering belief that the next great discovery could be just around the corner. It reminds us that even in failure there can be something noble about the pursuit of a dream, even if that dream turns out to be nothing more than industrial waste and leaked fuel in the desert sand. Today, the Amargosa Desert has returned to its natural state, quiet, desolate, and beautiful in its own way. But for those who know the story, it will always be the site of one of the most curious and memorable false alarms in mining history. A place where, for a brief moment in 1918, hope and excitement transformed the desert into a stage for one of the West's most peculiar prospecting tales. Happy trails. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.